photos. Oh, that's good. That's a good one. 35 pictures were in the box, and I had to put a blindfold on, and I reached in and twirled around the pictures and picked one up. And whoever that was the person on the cover.
So that's how you got Farrah Fawcett on the cover?
Yeah, but I'm not going to tell you how I cheated. No, 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 no. I never could cheat. I always learned something from my mother. She said, if you can't tell the truth, keep your mouth shut.
Exactly. Now, everybody, I'm here with Rona Barrett, the Rona Barrett, the one that we all read and watched on television, interviewing all the amazing people that I think 70s is the best year of my life, and I think of everyone's lives as far as the golden years of TV, because
it was a wonderful decade, and but like all decades, after 20 years, during the second 10 years, you begin to see that something new is going to hit the horizon, but you don't exactly know what it looks like, and you don't know exactly what it will mean. But when it comes, comes in slowly, and then before you know it, you're into something different. And if you are not one of those people who can go with the changes, then you're sort of out of business.
Exactly. And you were the business of gossip in Hollywood at the time. And so how did you become Rona Barrett in Hollywood? Let's just do a little history of you.
I had a desire to make a name for myself, to say something meaningful. I started really writing for a magazine, and that was because the editor, who became one of my best friends in life, and unfortunately she's no longer with us. Her name was Bessie Little, and she was the editor of some 35 different magazines at this one company. And amongst those magazines were what they called the fan magazine. And she needed a secretary, and I applied for the job while I was going to college, and I got it. And she said, and I certainly hope, Miss Rona. She started calling me, well, she didn't call me Miss Rona, but she called me Rona. She said, if you want to be an editor and a writer, you've gotten the wrong job, because I swore I will never train another person again to be one, because I'm getting sick and tired of losing a very good secretary. So I said, oh, don't worry, I don't want to do anything like that. Lie number one. And I got the job. And 3 weeks later, I came one afternoon into the office, and on my desk was a load of what they call the brown line. It's the moment before you go to publishing, and if there are any changes that have to be made, you have to make them. And so she looks and she leaves a note for me, and she said, I want you to go over every single picture in this magazine. And if you don't like what's written, see if you can make it better and write something else. So before I knew it, in 3 weeks' time, I was suddenly doing a job that I knew nothing about. I didn't even know what brown line really meant. And that was how my career started. And with the help of Bessie, and who knew everybody in Hollywood in those days, because of the fact that she had like 10 other movie and television. No, well, television wasn't, it was there, but it was not in the same way as the film fan books were. And so she liked what I had to say. She thought I had a way of twisting a word and making it kind of more interesting. And so that was it. And the next thing I knew, I was sort of on the road becoming a junior editor of one of those magazines. And I had a lot of other ladies in that office, and a lot of them were really PO'd, as they say then. And there was nothing I could do. I wasn't looking out. I wasn't looking for their job. I really was just looking to make a little money and to get my feet in the door of something, knowing that I wanted to go into being a reporter. And so that's really the beginning of the story.
Wow. So fast forward, I was watching, you had done an interview for, I believe, the Academy about
Ah,
how you had that wrote that nighttime, when I telegram, the telegram to get yourself on television. How did you were a pioneer because you already saw what television was going to be. And
well, that was really it, Mike. It was the fact that I recognized two things. One, we had a whole new nation of young people in America. And like a lot of people, they had their own music. They liked their own music. They liked their own films. And you could see where they were changing. And so I went along with the change. And the other thing is that I was always annoyed when people said, well, it's gossip, gossip. I said, if I was a man, who there were 30 in New York City at that time, or maybe 40, who all wrote columns. They were all men, there were no women. And they all wrote similar things, not exactly, because they were writing for a different generation. And now I was writing for a more current generation. And so I was always called the gossip columnist. And I always thought that in those days, that was the first real taste of seeing what happens to a girl, a woman who wants to make something of herself and is not allowed to go past that bar. And but I managed to do it. So the reason I got to television was I just knew that television was going to be the place where everyone in America was finally going to go to get their news. That newspapers were going to have their day in court, but not the day in court that they wanted. And so it all changed. And I got tired. I came to Hollywood, and now I was there 7.5 years, always banging on the door of somebody's office, seeing if they would think about doing something in the news about the entertainment industry, about these people, the young people. You want a new audience, I have it. And so that was it. And I came close, but not close enough. And suddenly I said, I've got to make a living. How am I going to do this? I can't depend on my mother and father for my whole life. And so I decided. My father kept saying to me every Sunday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he and my mother took turns calling me and saying, well, darling, how are you? Are you ready to come home? And then my mother in the background would say, oh, Harry, don't say that to her. Then the next week, my mother would say, hi, sweetie, how you doing? And I said, I'm holding on. And she said, well, Rona, why are you doing this? I have your bedroom still here. I've got your bed still here. He said, just come home. Come home. We'll find you a nice man. We'll find you a husband. We'll get you babies. We'll do all these things for you. Come home. And I kept saying, okay. And one day I called and said, I'm coming home. And my father, who never encouraged me into doing what I was doing, said, what do you mean? I said, I'm coming home, Daddy. He said, you can't do that. You absolutely can't do that. I said, what do you mean? You've always told me, come home, come home. I'm coming home now. He said, Rona, listen to me. You must give it 24 more hours. I said, Daddy, it's Sunday and it's 4 o'clock. Where do you think I can go on a Sunday at 4 o'clock? Whose doorbell am I going to ring? What's going to happen? And he says, I don't know, but I want you to promise me you will do nothing for 24 more hours. And I said, oh, okay. And I slammed the phone down, and that was it. And I started walking around my hello, my little living room. And I said, what do I have to lose? I sat down, and I don't know how many people remember that we could usually send telegrams in those days and not write an email that never lived at that moment. And I said, oh, I'm just going to write this note to Leonard Goldenson, the chairman of the board, the president of everything of ABC, because I always found that ABC was the third rated network in this business of television. And they were always looking for something, to help them with their ratings. So I just said, dear Mr. Goldenson, after 7.5 years, either say either say yay or nay, put me on TV, or I'll never bother you again. Signed, Rona Barrett. And I sent it off, and I said, oh dear God, what have I done? What have I done? And I had my tears in my eyes, and I was nervous as heck. And then the next thing I knew is I went to sleep, and about 6 o'clock in the morning, my telephone rings. It awakens me, of course. And I said, hello, hello. And the person at the other end said, so what have you done now? And that was a man named Elton Rule, who was the head of KABC in Los Angeles, and was on the road eventually to becoming the president of ABC and other top titles he held. And he said, the only thing I want to add, he said, I was awakened the same time that I just awakened you. And it was Leonard who keeps forgetting that there's a 3-hour time difference between Los Angeles and New York City. And so he said, I got this overnight letter from Rona Barrett. And he said, well, there's only one thing I want to know is, she said something in this letter that said, now I can't remember it, Mike, but I'll remember it in a minute and give it back to you. But it was a word, and he said, well, anyway, it was a word, and it was sort of, you could take it as a little bit of a dark word.
Oh, something. yes. The F word. Yes.
Yes. But so he said, he wanted to know, what did she really mean by that? Oh, the word was fussing.
That's it. Yes, fussing.
Fussing. And so Mr. Goldenson said to Mr. Rule, he said, if you want to give her a shot on KBC, you have my blessings, but I want you to remember one thing. She may have to say things about even us, meaning ABC. And if she does, and her material is correct, and you'll have lawyers looking at her copy, and so forth and so on. And that's it. That's all I want to know. And he said, and Elton said, so when can you come in? And I said, what time do you want me to come in? And he said, how about around 2:45, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. I hung up the phone, and I don't know what I can't even remember my feelings anymore because it's so long ago. And I went to this meeting, and I sat down on his couch, and I could feel that I could hold my hands on the pillows there. And I said, oh my God, what's going to happen now? And he said, well, listen, I do not know exactly how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to tell you, we want the good news or the bad news first. And I said, I don't care. Give it to me any which way you want. And he said, the bad news is I cannot put you on at 6 o'clock at night because we just have all the people that we need there. And I've got all the people who are going to advertise there. So there's no room there. He said, however, if you want the 11 o'clock news, I can try you there. And I'm saying to myself, thank you, God. I wanted 11. I didn't want 6 because no one's home yet from the studios at 6 o'clock in the evening. But at 11, they're going to sleep and they might have a chance of building an audience that way. And that's exactly what happened. But it was a time when, you didn't have teleprompters, Mike. You didn't have anything that could help you with making your work better. We didn't have, as I said, the teleprompters. They didn't have the right lighting, and so it was a matter of and so when I went on television that first night, my heart was out of my body. It really was. Yeah, and somehow I got through it. And then they kept losing my stories. They kept losing my stories in what they call the film role. I was a part of something or other where they developed everything. So that was it. I said, well, they're going to fire me. I'm not going to be staying. And the next thing I knew is 3 or 4 months later, I was still there. And when the next ratings came out from Nielsen, KABC in the news area had just gone up a little tick at a time, but it was going up, and there were no other changes at the time when I was there. The sports person was still there, the hard news people were still there, so forth and so on. And that was it. And so everybody was saying, well, this may be something here we didn't realize. And that was it. That's the story. I'm sticking with it. I can always embellish it in different ways, but it's still trying to think, what was it? You see, you have to just forgive me because my brain had hit I was looking at my computer. It hit the send key before I could finish the thought. So that's why I can't remember the word.
Oh, so, no problem.
So you've just had a senior moment. Okay.
That's fantastic. So, I mean, it's amazing that he gave you full reign of whatever. Was there anything that you did that they had to call the lawyers during that time? No.
From day one, anything I wrote for the program was always viewed by 2 different attorneys and broadcast standards, another person. So I was just, I was overwhelmed all the time. I mean, if I put the word "the" in the wrong place, I was afraid I was going to get fired. But it was never that bad. So they said, "Oh, this is interesting," and then and it just developed. I don't know. I guess it was because no one else had done it, and it was true. The entertainment industry has been or was at one point the 3rd largest industry in America that sent abroad, where people were interested all over the world. And so I think that was also the other thing that helped me, the fact that I had hit on something, and obviously there was an appetite for it, and here I was,
the pioneer of gossip or entertainment, Hollywood entertainment. I mean, and then you went on to do the Today Show and Good Morning America, and then you were syndicated. I mean, as that little girl that was the secretary, how did that make you feel that you were then internationally known for what you
Mike, I never thought about that. Unfortunately, it just didn't mean that much to me. I just wanted to do good work. that's all that I cared about. I wanted to be the first one to have the first story. I wanted to be the person who broke more stories than anyone else. I just wanted to have that reputation. And I guess I sort of did a lot of that.
And so how did you get the breaking stories? Because obviously in Hollywood, they have to trust you to let you know things, or have your contacts. How did you make that, make those personal relationships so solid to get, great stories for your magazines and the shows?
Well, the teenagers at home were now looking to buy my magazine, and they found in the magazine a voice that appealed to them. And I think when people really get to see what you're saying, and you bring a little laughter also at times to something that you have said that only you and your friends knew all about, and it was the beginning. I'm going to be very honest with you. For reasons that I never understood for many, many years, I believe I had and I don't compare myself in any way to Judy Garland or any one of the great big stars, but I had what seemed to be a very large audience amongst a lot of homosexual people. And in those days, you're not supposed to even talk about it, So, but I realized that I hit a nerve in somebody's body. I think they recognized that I had my own troubles when I was a child, and that there was something that I was saying and that they could respond to. And that's what I think this was all about.
Yeah. And, I was one of those little boys who bought your magazine every week, every month.
With all the different titles. Right?
I know. And I love the Rona Barrett, the last word was always my favorite too, in the back. So talking about celebrities, who was your favorite celebrity interview you ever did?
That question is asked of me all the time. And I can't say, there were different reasons at different times. There were actors who threw away their cards because they didn't want to go into the service, and I would get an interview with these people, and you'd find out that something, and I asked them questions that nobody was asking at the time. I don't know why, but it got to be that way.
Who most surprised you as an interviewer?
Well, one of my favorite interviews in the long form really had to be Cher. But Cher said to me, Rona, I'm so tired of sitting in two chairs and doing these interviews. And I said, can't we find some other place to do it? And I said, well, name it. I'll do whatever you want to do. She says, why don't you come up to my bedroom? We'll do it on my bed. My director looked at me. I looked at him. The other members also looked and said, wow, a bedroom with a chair. And so I got up the stairs and we went into the bedroom, and I plopped myself on her bed and she plopped herself on the bed. And then we just started talking as if we were two girls, friends who just could say anything they wanted to say to each other. And that was the kind of interview it was. And of course, it was on that very first special that I was given, that I got to do, in which I looked at Cher and I can't even remember all the girls. It was four girls, and they were the four hottest women in the country in terms of their ability to get a lot of money and get the best parts and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think it was Kate
So
Jackson. There was a couple other ones there too. I
there
know.
was,
I think Kate Jackson was one of them in the first one. I'm not really sure.
no,
But
I don't think she was in the first, but I think she was in the second one.
I know, and it was recently on Amazon. I saw it and it was amazing. I've been looking for it for years.
Oh, did you see it on Amazon?
Yeah, it was on. It's not on anymore. It was on for
Oh,
a brief moments.
a brief moment. Oh,
Brief,
yeah.
and some of them were. Um, and talking
I
about
loved
that,
Kate. I loved Kate. I thought she was a very interesting person. And what can I say?
right?
Uh, I thought the four girls on the show that made everyone a star there uh, were four perfect people because there was something different about each and every one of them.
Yes, 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 yes. And then Tanya always talked about you were her first interview when Tanya Roberts when she came on. So I love that.
Well, being on ABC and then having inaugurated Good Morning America, um, it was sort of my job to be the first to introduce somebody, like was the number one series on television. Um, so I don't know what to say except that it was just it was a good interview,
Yeah,
and there was a lot of things to say, and that's the kind of interviews that I did. I love the interviews more than anything else than writing the news.
exactly. Well, let's talk about some of the new stuff you're doing about the Rona Barrett Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, if you can see behind me, this is the first phase of the Golden Inn Village. It's all about helping and making sure that low-income seniors and seniors who really found themselves in a great deal of financial trouble, losing their homes, not knowing where they were going to have enough money to buy food, had to make choices between whether they paid a lighting bill or they were able to get a can of tuna fish. It's been a very difficult time, and there are too many people still who do not believe that our senior population, which is also one of the largest today in this country and is still growing because as all the baby boomers, excuse me, as all the baby boomers, get to be older,
Mhm.
not everyone has really enough money and has found themselves in a financial situation that they can't handle. And I kept thinking about my dad, and I kept saying to myself, what if I weren't around? Who would take care of him? Because my sister didn't want to do that. And I said, and I didn't have enough money to take care of him too. What would I do? I said, we need places more. We need more affordable housing in this country. We need people who know how to bring services to people without charging them any more money. And that's what we do with the Golden Inn Village. We have a number of services that we provide, including meals. We've also had, which we'll be having again because of COVID, we all had to cut down and close up a little bit, but no one for 2.5 years at the Golden Inn Village could leave the residence. They were locked into their apartments and everything. Nobody wanted them to be sick. A majority of these people are in the range of 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and my heart just went out to all of them, and that's why I fought very hard. It took me 12 years to get people in. Once I decided I'm leaving Hollywood, and that's a story in itself. But so it well, anyway, it brought me into this world of learning to care for the elderly and making sure that they can understand that this is not the end of their life. It's just another adventure in their life. And none of us really knows anything about it, because aging belongs to you and what you wish to make of your own life. We try to just give you the tools so you can understand where you're coming from. And I use myself quite frequently as the person who has gone through this and gone through that. And I think it makes people feel that, gee, if it could happen to Rona, could it happen to me?
Yeah.
And and that's basically what it is that I have been doing. And we started the Rona Barrett Foundation really back in 2000. And and I need all the help that I can get. That's all I can say, because there's never enough money. There's never enough ideas that you can get into becoming a program. And so that's the work that I've been doing for the last 20 years.
And that's amazing work. That's amazing work. And people can, of course, go to the website, Rona Barrett Foundation, and donate. Donate money, donate time. What can they donate?
They can donate time too, if you want to be somebody who comes over and reads a book to someone. Whatever they want to do, we welcome everyone. We're now in the phase right now of doing another wing, another part of the Rona Barrett Foundation, along with the Housing Authority for the County of Santa Barbara, who in the end really turned out to be a wonderful partner for me. And we were able to establish this facility, and we're taking care of over 100 people now, between families and single seniors and etc. And it's a great feeling. And Harry's house is what I decided to do. I was going to build a place where I thought my dad would love to be and be happy to be there, and would live a much better life that if I were not around, or somebody else had not been around to take care of him. And that's what the housing, and that's basically what the Golden Inn Village is all about. And Harry's house will even be broadening the programs that we will have been doing. And so I'm kind of busy, Mike. I don't sleep too well lately because I have too many things to think about.
Right?
Yeah, and most of all, it has to do with hoping people will understand the way I felt about Hollywood at one time. And, I was on television for 38, 39 years. And that's a long, long time as far as I'm concerned of being in front of the public. But if they remember me, that's why I decided that maybe I'll do a little podcast. And so I started the podcast, and I figured, well, maybe if somebody recognizes my voice from my earlier days, instead of Gravel Gertie's voice over here, that I'll get more people to talk about. It's okay to grow older. Don't be frightened.
That's true.
This is just the new adventure, and for everyone it might be slightly different. And so that's it, my friend.
That's it. You have given us years of Hollywood. I can go through. Through this video, I've shared most of those covers with everybody.
I know, they're beautiful.
They are. And I remember going as a little kid. It was in Germany, and they would like do a little stamp when you bought it that you actually bought it. And I have them still today. And I want to thank you for taking time. And this has been probably the most exciting interview I've ever done, because you are the woman who made everyone's faces more glamorous every month. And
so how do I look?
You look, hold on, I'm going to do a full, you look amazing.
How do I look at 58?
You look amazing at 58.
Yes. Oh, did I say 58? Well, you'll count it a different way. Switch it around.
Fantastic.
Okay, guys, if there's any one example of still living and trying to do something with their life, tis moi, moi. And I know a lot of other mois.
Thank you so much for what what you're doing now and what you did in the past. And just thank you for being Rona Barrett.
But I want to leave you with one thing.
Okay, go ahead.
I loved
True.
Okay. So you want to know what I was going to say to you?
Yes, please. I'm all ears.
Somebody is doing grass cutting or tree cutting or something around me right now. Can you hear it?
It's totally fine. No, I just for a second, but it's good. It's real. It's real life.
Real life. Okay, Mike, you win. I just wanted to say that I love Charlie's Angels, and I enjoyed interviewing each and every one of those girls over the years. I can't say I loved one more than the other because each one of them brought something different to television and to themselves. And also I was very lucky. I lived right down the road from John Forsythe, and he was my neighbor, and we were friends, but we became much better friends during the time that he was living here and before he passed away.
Yes, and so you lived in the same area where Cheryl lived also.
Yeah, we were just less than, I don't know. Well, when you're in the country, it's hard to say by streets. It's really long roads. That's it.
I was up at her house many times. So yes. And
oh, were you? So you know.
Yeah, you drive up there and there's cows to the right, and yeah.
Yeah, and she and her husband built a beautiful house there. And so, what could anyone say? Sorry, Cheryl, we don't like this house. Get out of the town. So, but they did finally leave town and went back to Texas, and of all places, Texas.
I know, right? They built another beautiful house down there, which I've not seen yet. So.
Oh, well, I mean, that's their thing. They now buy houses, build houses, and convert houses into lots of money.
Right?
Yeah, right.
It's good if you can do it. It's good if you can do it. Well, did you watch Charlie's Angels during the 70s? I'm sure you did.
I believe I did.
Oh, so do you know which angel you would have been? A smart angel, a streetwise angel, the glamour angel. What angel would you have been? What angel would Rona Barrett be?
I think she would have been a new angel, a different kind of angel. She would probably be poking her finger at somebody and saying, hey, not now, not the thing to do. And that's what I think I would be. I could never be any one of those girls because they wanted an acting career. I didn't want an acting career. And so anytime people asked me, would I want to go on camera, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, you have to hire an actress. I am not an actress. And that really, I did that.
Wow. Well, beautiful. And you did it well. And now you're doing more beautiful things for people today with Harry's house and everything you're doing.
It is the best thing I've ever done in my life thus far.
And I am proud to have chatted with you today. I'm proud to, now I can say, I know Rona Barrett. We're good friends. We're good friends.
Yes, we're very good friends, Mike. That's, what do you mean? Of course, very good friends. And I expect to hear from you again. And if I don't hear from you again, then I know that you were full of, what shall I say? Never mind.
That other word.
That other word, right.
Or S word, whatever. Rona,
take care.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Big kiss.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.